Well, hello everybody and welcome. We're going to work on a Valentine card. It's getting that time of the year, so let's get going. We need to do File, New, and let's go. Now this is the screen width of my video. So I make a lot of my images 1280 pixels by 720 pixels. I recommend N72, but I recommend for you to do a let's say a 7 wide 5 by 7 card, and we need to have it 300 resolution because you may want pictures in it, you want your type to look good, all that stuff. So resolution 300, whether you're printing it or sending it out to be printed, one way or the other, it needs to be 300. Click OK. All the other numbers in there did not have to be changed in any way, so we're good to go. Now, if we go into Photoshop and decide we want to make a heart, for example, well, we can do that if we go down to the shape tools and go to custom shape and go up here to where it says shape and click on that. We have several things in there. If the heart isn't showing, which is right here on mine, just go to this little gear and you can load up all of these great things, and in there somewhere is going to be that heart. It's one of the top ones I think used, so that's what we need. Now the problem with that is if we click and drag it, we can't really paint with that. We can keep making various sizes, and let me change the color of that because I'm not really that fond of making black hearts. So let's quit doing it then. Let's go up here and get the red from up here at the shape color picker. Now we can do this. That's not really painting. It doesn't let us rotate. We can rotate one at a time. We can go down here to this one, do a Control T and rotate it and so forth. How painstaking is that? We also can't vary the color of them except doing them one at a time. And I like time-saving stuff. So I'm going to hit the trash can several times here to get rid of all this junk. And I want one layer left. I'm going to go in here and make a new layer. Click the new layer icon. And I'm going to kill this layer. Do that again. So I got two. Now, I'm going to put a heart down, just like we've been using. But this time, I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go down here to Define Brush Preset, and click. And I'm going to call this Valentine Heart. Click OK. Now I can throw that layer away. I'm going to create a new one. And I can go to the paintbrush, come up here to where the brushes are, and the very last brush that's there, numbered 492, and if I let that hover, there it is, Valentine Heart. So if I click that, now I can paint, but notice my opacity for the paint is only 27, so I need to run that up. And it's still somewhat translucent, right? So if I click it a few times and hold the mouse still, see, it fills in to solid. Okay. Don't really need these right now, and I can do a left bracket key. I can do a right bracket key to make them bigger. How about we fill this with white so that's not so confusing? White is our background color. To fill with the background color, all we have to do is hold down the Control key and press backspace, and we get white. That looks a lot more friendly. Okay, so if I left bracket key and paint smaller, right bracket key bigger, and if I click and drag, it's painting with the heart, but obviously not ideal. So I'm going to do a Control A, and what that'll allow me to do, and I should never have painted on this layer down here, I'm going to go ahead and fill that again with white. So I'm going to Control backspace, and I'm going to come up here with my marching ants around here, Control A, and all I'm going to do is hit backspace so it gets rid of that stuff. Because here's what we're going to do. We need to be able to paint with this heart, and to do that we need to be able to go to Window, Brush, and in the brushes we've still got our heart here, but we're going to set up the brushes in here a little differently so we can control what this brush does. Now before we start painting, let's close this for just a second and go down here and get the background to come up on top. We hit this little double arrow, and let's click on that white right there, and let's just kind of click on a rosy pink color, and I'm going to switch that back because that's just who I am. So I've got red and a pink. Now what this is going to do, no, it's not just going to paint red and pink hearts. It's going to paint lots of color, but these are going to be the primary colors, so to speak, the base colors for our hearts. So back, Window, Brush, and in here you see their brushes there. We're going to click on Shape Dynamics, Scattering, Transfer, and Color Dynamics, and you notice we have a whole mishmash of stuff down here. So we've got to go in and change a lot of things here. Number one, most of you don't have a pen. Let's just turn that off. If yours is on anywhere, turn it off. You can change the roundness and so forth there, no biggie. Let's go down to Scattering. We want this to be all the way to the left, this one too. Color Dynamics, we're going to move these things around a little bit, and let's go back to the shape tip, and we'll run that back a bit and go to the brush tips again, and then change the spacing right here. Let's just go out there and make this more manageable, so when we paint, see what's happening, it scatters them out. Then we go to Shape Dynamics, and we can make more, but let's see, let's do a jitter count and scatter these out more like that. I love having this preview because we can look down there and kind of get an idea of what's going on. Notice every time I paint, the color is changing. So, liking that, let's go back over to Color Dynamics and bring the saturation up. We're going to change the foreground to background jitter a little bit. Now, to erase this stuff, we don't have to do anything special. We've got it on its own layer. It's already selected. If it's not on yours, do a Control A to get those marching ants on, and just hit the backspace, and then everything goes away. I'm going to make my brush smaller, left bracket key. So now when I paint, look what's happening. Okay, so we've got variations going on of the colors. Each time I paint, I'm getting something different. So now here's something new I want you to do on yours, and that's to go up here to the top and click on Apply Per Tip, And then change your foreground to background jitter somewhere in the middle. Should be good. What that does is jitter the colors that you have as foreground and background colors. Otherwise, it randomizes those two colors, and this control tells it to do it more, going this way, doing it less. So if I click now, and let's go to color dynamics, let's go, our scattering looks pretty good. Let's see here, let's separate them just a little bit more, maybe a few more of them. Trying to change the count to 2. It's up to you. And all I have to do, I'm going to close this so you can see. Notice my heart here is turned sideways to start. That's okay. It's going to turn and turn and turn. And the transparency of some of them are going to be higher than others. More or less opaque, whatever helps you to understand it. I'm the one that needs the understanding. Okay, let's click on brush again. So what we're doing is a little bit more kind of crunching down this foreground and background color. This is pretty close to being the foreground and background in combination. Okay, so if we go back to color dynamics again, you see our U jitter, the amount of change that's taken place is relatively low. It's only 7%. Let's run that up to, let's say, 46%, and let's do the same thing. I'll collapse this, hit backspace. Now watch the change in the colors. So we could start thinking in terms of maybe we could make this Valentine card a Valentine/Easter card, because we certainly have the pastels going, and maybe that's a bad idea. But you see what's happening with the variations, right? If you don't have this little brush control over here, let's just say I don't, and I go to window and bring up brush, let's just put that brush icon right over here so it's handy because we need it. All right, I'm going to hit the backspace key on layer 2 to make that go away, and I'm going to go back. Whoops, got to click the right one. I'm going to get back to our primary colors that we're using, the red and pink, and I can really crank the saturation up and the brightness and maybe bring the purity down a little bit, which will also mute the colors a little bit. So now when I paint, see how much more muted it is. And again, I'll open that back up and let's try more purity. See how more colorful it is. Let me hit backspace and get rid of that and do it again. Much more intense. Now, why I'm showing you all of this is I want you to get into that panel right here and make these same changes on your computer, but experiment. You're not going to hurt anything by running these sliders all over the place, okay? So look at what I've got on my shape dynamics. All of the controls are turned off that can be turned off, and then I don't have, I could change this diameter thing, minimum diameter, maximum roundness, you know. So, and again, the other thing is, let me hit backspace again, paint a little bit, change the size of my brush, left bracket key, and right bracket key, about a big one. I'm just clicking one at a time now. And let's make the brush smaller. Paint a little bit. So we can really have some fun. Now we don't have to turn the hearts around in circles like I have here. You know, that's all controllable too with your shape dynamics. So if you don't want the things doing the angles, see how they're turned? Now all the hearts are going to be perfectly up, and then we can just really go the opposite way. The jitter comes into play. It's kind of a randomization of things, and randomizing things gives you different effects. Obviously, let's hit backspace again. So you can really get some great shapes. And now this one's going to be right side up, and we can put one in here, just a piece of one there. Love it that you can control this like so, and they have all the different colors that we want, and you've already seen how we can control that. So let's take this a step further. Now we first used the tool down here, the custom shape tool, to make our heart. So let's use it to make a heart for real. Instead of turning it into a paintbrush, now let's make a shape of a heart. So this time let's go up here. Here's our shape color picker. Let's go up here and let's get a nice dark red, and I'm sorry I did that, and I'm just going to click and drag out a nice size heart. Now if it's not exactly where I want it, so I'm holding the left mouse key down while I'm doing this. I can push down the space bar and hold it down, and now I can push it anywhere I want. I'm still holding down the left mouse key. I'm just going to let go. Now we've got our heart, but I really only want that particular shape more than anything. So what I'm going to do is hold down and I don't want the marching ants around the whole image. So what I'm going to do, hold down the control key, command key on a Macintosh, and click right on the heart over here in the layers panel one time, and that snaps to the heart that we just created, right? So now we've got this nice shape. So I want to put a picture inside of this heart shape. So what I'm going to do is go find another picture, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got this picture of Pat and I. We were invited to go to Chicago. I got Illinois Teacher of the Year award, and so we got to go up there from the college, and it was quite fun. And some people at the table were taking our picture, and this is basically the only picture I have of Pat and I in the last several years. So we need to do something about that in the future. But for right now, this is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to do a Control A and a Control C, and I'm going to go back over here to our heart, and with it, I don't know why that is, I didn't ask to crop this, so don't crop. I'm going to do a Edit, Paste Special, and paste into. So that image that I had of us is there, but it's obviously far larger than it needs to be. So I'm going to do a Control T and hold down the Shift key so it keeps the perspective right. And I can, you know, move us kind of in there in the heart, and just double click, and that finishes that off. Okay, so something like that. That guy in the background back there, I'll hide him a little bit. And we know enough Photoshop, we can really take care of that guy if we need to. You know what I mean. Okay, so we're going to do something special because Photoshop was kind enough to give us another heart. Notice when we did the paste into that Photoshop gave us this heart over here, our mask. So I can click on that mask and I can do all kinds of great stuff with this mask. So I'm going to go down to the FX button and click on it and just bring up bevel and emboss. Now right off the bat we can click here on chisel hard, and we can change the depth, and you can see a little bit going on. Size, now you see a lot more going on, and we can get carried away if we're not careful. Don't want to do that. Okay, so we can go down here to the gloss contours, and we can change it to one of these, and notice this has quite the effect depending on which one of these you use. And some of these you can click on and actually turn it into looking like a piece of jewelry. It looks so cool. But you play with all of these until you find one that really works the way you want it to, or you say, "Ooh, there's a happy accident," and you go with that. I haven't found one that really makes us look special yet. Let's go with that for now, and then I'm going to click on contour, and it's all part of the bevel and emboss, but I'm going to put some extra wrinkles in it, so to speak, to make it even fancier. There's all kinds of changes that we can make with that, and we can also change the range of that. To see what's really going on, let me make that a bit bigger so you can see those edges a little bit. If you don't like any of them and you just want to say nothing, just click on that one right there, and it negates this particular bevel. I want to spend a long time doing this. Let's go back over here again. You can click this one to negate that. So let me zoom back out a little bit here so I can better tell what's going on. I do like to put one of these on, but sometimes they can be a little frustrating finding the one that just really clicks. I'm going to go with that one for now. Then I'm going to go down here and click on a drop shadow, and we can make it any size we want. Let me zoom out a little bit more so we can see the whole thing. And I'm going to change the size of it, which actually softens it way up. And let's just try, while we're in here, going for an inner shadow. It really, there's a bit of one in there. Gotta click on there. There it is. I'm going to move it in there. And we can also soften it up a bit too. So now we have some depth going back into the card, like the card has depth to it. Alright, let's say that that's enough. There's lots more we could attempt, but we're going to go ahead and say okay. So we got kind of a nice look going. Now there's lots of crazy things we can do at this point. We can actually go up here, and what if we wanted to turn this into black and white? Well, we can do that pretty simply. Go up there to the adjustments, and right here is adjustment to turn it into black and white. So it changes the whole thing into black and white. So not exactly what we want, right? So we want the heart to be black and white and everything else in color. So I'm going to select that heart. I'm going to control click on it and then say select inverse, which means select everything else but. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to fill this selected area with black. And to do that, black is already on top here. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and hit backspace, and that creates another heart here, but lets our color show through up there. Now, maybe we don't like that, maybe we love it, but we can certainly do this and get rid of it if we don't. Okay, so another one of those things, it's your call whether you like it or not. Well, having done that, let's do something else. Let's go back and get another heart. So we click on the special selection tool. This time I want the heart to be white. So I'm going to click up here where the red is and click on the white. And I come over here. And now I can make this heart bigger than the other one or smaller. Again, I can hold down the space bar and move it. And let go. That's too big, obviously. We can just undo that, Control Z, and let's make it about that size. And we can still change that. Don't freak out. I'm going to turn on the Move tool and push it up to the top a little bit. And now I'm going to basically click on the FX again, and this time I'm going to click on a drop shadow down there at the bottom. And you see it. Now watch what happens when I try to move this drop shadow. See what's going on in the other heart? That's because right here this was checked originally. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that and redo it because I don't want to change that other heart. So I click on drop shadow, and now I'm going to uncheck the use global light. So now when I move the drop shadow, only that shadow's moving around. That's good info to know. So let's go ahead and soften that shadow up and maybe drop the opacity down because we just want to create some depth. We don't want to make it crazy. Now we could also make this a red heart over here this time, but here's what I want to do instead. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to click on the text tool, and notice it's showing a round thing, what it's wanting to do because of all these points. It's wanting to type along the heart, which could be cool, but that's not what I'm looking for right now. So I'm going to create a new layer up here just to create some space between that, and with the type tool selected, I'm going to click and drag a box right in here. Love from us to you. And that's pretty big, isn't it? Control A to select it all. I'm going to click right here on the two T's and then drag my slider to the left. And so that way we can actually see on the fly how big that's going to be. I don't like this particular font for what I'm trying to say here. So with that highlighted and this highlighted, I can basically use my arrow keys and go down, 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 down. Oop, no, don't like that. Oop, maybe like that. It doesn't look bad. Some of these are way far away from what I want. So what I can do too, obviously, is go up here and take a look at my samples. And you may have better looking samples of this than I do. So I'm going to say I love that, but it's a little small. So let's do a Control T, Command T on a Mac. It almost looks like something from I Love Lucy, doesn't it? So we kind of give that a little elegance, and we can also put drop shadow on it as well. Move that out of the way. That's a little confusing. Okay. So drop that down a little bit. Click OK. Now, we can, with this highlighted, that's the text Love from Us to You. We'll go down to the shape 2, which is the heart, and shift click on it. And now let's do a Control T, and we can go ahead and resize this to whatever we want. because now in this spot, move it a little bit more. Right down here, I've got an idea of something. You know, people like to put little artwork in, kind of say who they are, so to speak. And if we go back once again to our shape tools, go to the custom shape, there's lots of shapes. If you click on that gear, there are lots of shapes over here, okay? But one of them I've got loaded, we've got pets here. So we've got birds and we've got rabbits, and I don't know anybody that's got a pet snail, but there's a nice dog, and here's a cat. So let's just say we want to put a cat in here. I'm going to go ahead and make it white, and I'm just going to put it right there. Now it's facing off frame, so to speak, and I'd rather it be looking at Pat and I. So I'm going to just do a Control T, and this is going to go off screen if I'm not careful, so I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to right click inside that box and go to flip horizontal, and now move it back where I want it. Now that looks okay, and again, let's click on the move tool. We can go ahead and excuse me, we can put a drop shadow in behind to kind of finish that off if we want to. No, the dots aren't going to show, so I just turn them off. Let's go ahead and put a drop shadow down around the kitty cat. Again, because I have this shadow and use global light on, I kind of mess with both at the same time, so I can uncheck that. And let's just soften that a little bit. And now we've made that stand out kind of nice. So we could make our hearts a lot darker red. We could make them all a lot more colorful. Remember, we put all of our hearts on one layer here. What if we had put a few hearts on one layer and put some shadows in? Just light shadows. Then create another layer with some more shadows and just build up some depth. Make some of it opaque and some of it, very transparent, and going back into the image. And I hate to say this in passing, but as I look at this, I see my grandfather on my mother's side, Louis Brisden, and I really love that guy. So it makes it easier to look at myself in the mirror when I see my granddad. Guys, I hope you got something out of making this Valentine's. I think it's fun. It's a chance for us to have some fun with the tools, be creative, and who knows what you can come up with. It's certainly worth giving it a try and being playful with it. All right, happy photoshopping, everybody, and talk to you later.